Death Battle, one of the versus shows that inspired mine. This show has shown a lot of amazing matchups and brought tons of iconic characters, but there's always a certain character or battle that people want to see. Today, I'm going to count down the top 10 characters I want to see on Death Battle in the future. The rules for this list are simple. We will not be including characters that have already been on Death Battle before. We also will not be including OCs or memes, which means no Ouija, no SMG4, etc. And finally, we will not be using any real-life people. This includes people like John Cena, Jack Black, etc. Now, I also want to make it very clear. Do not mock my choices, or give me any shit like, hey, this character doesn't belong in Versus. Or, this character can't fight. If you're thinking that way about any character on this list, then shut the heck up and don't say anything. Anyway, it's time to get started. This is the top 10 characters I want to see in Death Battle. Okay, I'll just get number 10 out of the way. If you guys know my channel very well, you'll know it's the first Versus series to have battles featuring the series, Paw Patrol. And because of this, a few other Versus series started using this show. A certain friend of mine is also going to do a Paw Patrol fight in the future, but I'm not gonna tell you who. Anyway, there's tons of characters in the Paw Patrol universe. Admittedly, it's extremely unlikely that they'll ever use a character from this show on Death Battle, but it's still a small possibility. Now, I wouldn't really care which Paw Patrol character gets in, but if I absolutely had to choose one, I'd have to go with the star of the series. And that of course, would be Chase the police pup. His humongous arsenal and mighty pup's abilities would make it very cool to see. If you want to know who he could fight, I believe it would be okay if Chase would fight Catboy from PJ Masks. While you may not agree with this character being in the series, I personally would love to see it. My Little Pony has had 3 battles in the series, and we're getting a 4th battle soon. Each MLP fight featured a different species. First a Pegasus, then an Earth Pony, then an Alicorn, and in the 4th battle we'll get a Draconequus. But we have yet to get a battle featuring a unicorn. And I have a certain unicorn in mind. This particular character was thought of thanks to a friend on the Discord app. This time, I want you to guess who the character is. Is it Rarity? No. Is it Trixie? Keep guessing. Sunset Shimmer? No. The unicorn I want to see on Death Battle is Twilight Sparkle's student, Starlight Glimmer. This pony has magic that rivals Twilight's. She's capable of levitating herself, teleporting, and even traveling through time. Starlight is an incredibly dangerous pony, and would make a great addition to the Versus community. For a potential battle, some people think Silver would be a good choice, probably because of the whole time traveling thing, but a better choice would be the Mustache Girl from A Hat in Time, because they have a whole lot more in common than you'd think. So yeah, as of now, Starlight Glimmer is the number 1 best new choice for a My Little Pony combatant on Death Battle. The next character on this list is a character who I've grown to like these past couple of years. I'll start by saying that Capcom is an amazing game company with awesome franchises. And the character I'm about to mention is a character from a game that doesn't have much to do with combat, but that doesn't have much to do with combat. This character is the greatest lawyer in fiction, and his name is Phoenix Wright. Yes, I know that a lot of you say that because he doesn't fight in his games, he wouldn't work in a Versus series. To that, I say, objection! Phoenix is actually completely capable of putting up a fight, especially if you give him feats from the anime, or others games like Marvel vs. Capcom. In the show, he could create a gust of wind just by pointing his finger and shouting. He's also very observant and clever, and can use evidence as weapons. I don't care what you think, Phoenix Wright would be great in a Versus series. As for a potential battle, I believe the best choice for Phoenix would be none other than Professor Layton. They are 2 of the most brilliant minds in gaming, not to mention they've met before. If you disagree with Phoenix Wright being in a fighting show, then kiss it. Marvel is one of, if not the best superhero company in the world. It's also one of the most used franchises in Death Battle. There are lots of Marvel characters who've already been on the show, but if I had to choose one who hasn't, I'd likely go with the She-Hulk. She's the cousin of the Hulk, as well as a lawyer. She-Hulk is as strong as the normal Hulk, but she's also more level-headed, and probably more agile. I thought about choosing X-23, but in the end decided against it. Now let's talk about her potential matchup. As much as I am tired of Marvel vs DC battles, I believe the best opponent for the She-Hulk would be Supergirl, the female counterparts of the strongest heroes in their universes. What more can I say? If there's one category lacking in death battle, it's horror. We've had a few horror-themed fights in the series, including Jason vs Michael, and Leon vs Frank. The next character on my list is a horror movie slasher. No, it isn't Freddy Krueger. The horror movie character I want to see in death battle is Ghostface, from the Scream franchise. I know, it's just a human in a costume, holding a knife. But Ghostface is actually a very clever and deadly fighter. He's very sneaky and wears a bulletproof vest under his costume. While he mainly wields a knife, he can also use guns or anything he can get his hands on. It'd be nice if the battle he's in started with him giving his opponent a phone call then trying to sneak attack them. For his opponent, I was originally thinking of the imposter from Among Us, but I changed my mind and went with Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You might think it's a stomp, but Ghostface knows a lot about other horror movie killers. So while he's not everyone's first choice for a horror movie fighter, you've got to admit that Ghostface would be pretty cool to see get added to death battle. While we're talking about horror, I think it's time we brought up one of the most wanted horror game characters in death battle history. That, of course, would be none other than Mama Tattletale. No, just kidding. It's Freddy Fazbear. Freddy is one of my most favorite horror characters of all time. He has a large variety of moves, including teleportation, night vision, laser cannons, and so much more. If I had to choose a good matchup for this possessed animatronic, I'd have to go with the faceless demon himself, Slenderman. The reasons are pretty obvious. So yeah, if you ask me, Freddy Fazbear better end up in death battle at some point. Mortal Kombat is one of the most popular fighting game franchises out there. The characters are very iconic, and are known for their finishing moves. I love this series, and I love tons of their characters. But one of my most favorite characters is one that was introduced in Mortal Kombat X. That of course would be the daughter of Sonya and Johnny, Cassie Cage. This commanding officer of Earthrealm's special forces is an amazing fighter. She's got the military weapon skills of her mother, and the ancient powers of her father. She also has a likable personality. It's very hard to come up with a good matchup for her, but if I had to choose, I suppose a good choice would be against Rock Howard from Tekken. I would have chosen a character like Stryker or Jade as the new Mortal Kombat rep, but Cassie seems like the better choice for me. The Sonic the Hedgehog franchise is amazing. Lots of characters with some unique fighting styles. Though out of all the characters who haven't had an episode, I'd have to go with one of my childhood favorites, Blaze the Cat. This fiery feline has a lot of amazing things that make her a great fighter. Besides her speed, Blaze also has the ability to manipulate flames. She also has a super form that increases heat power. She used to be my favorite Sonic character, but that title eventually went to Tails. For her opponent, some would go with Daisy from Mario, or Starfire from DC Comics, but in my opinion, a better choice would be Twilight Sparkle from My Little Pony. Believe it or not, these two have a lot in common. I don't know how likely it is for Blaze to end up in death battle, but if it ends up happening, I'll be very happy. The Mario franchise is one of my all-time favorites. A massive colorful land with tons of incredible characters. Some friendly, some dangerous, some cute, some scary. There are a lot of potential characters who still haven't gotten an episode yet. If you ask me, we need to use another villain from the Mario series, and who better than the Prince of the Koopas, Bowser Jr. This young Koopa has a lot of the same abilities as his father, but he also has unique ones. He has a magic brush that he can use to transform into Shadow Mario. He also has tons of gadgets and weapons at his disposal. He's honestly one of my favorite video game villains. If I had to choose a battle for Junior, I believe a good choice would be Trombone from the Mega Man franchise. Mainly because of their machinery and miniature robot companions. Bowser Jr. actually is wanted by tons of people, and it'll make me glad to see him get added. Before we show my number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Now I know what you might be thinking, who could possibly top all these characters? Well, let's not waste any more time. The final fighter on my list is another Capcom character. She happens to be my main in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. She's a wolf, she's a goddess of the sun. That's right, for number 1, we have AMATERASU. What can I say, this character is legendary. Based on a goddess from Japanese mythology, protecting the land with a wide arsenal of abilities. AMATERASU is shown to be loyal like a normal wolf, yet sometimes playful like a household dog. It would be neat for her to also receive help from her companion, Isune, during the battle. And for her potential battle, I'd say that the best possible choice would be against Princess Celestia from My Little Pony. 2 goddesses of the sun with celestial power. I know some people think AMATERASU should battle Ashura, but this is the better choice for me. And those are my top 10 most wanted characters in Death Battle. I know that some of you won't agree with these, but we all have our own opinion of who we think should be in the series. I'm glad to tell you mine, and I hope you enjoyed my list. I'll see you again in the next episode of Death Arena.